Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about, could we have a healthy future? Well, we're in for a wild ride with this one. A lot of times when we're going through a breakup, we're trying to figure out if we can really have a healthy relationship again. Can we turn things around in a way that things will be good? Because there have obviously been issues that caused the breakup, right? And trying to navigate that isn't always easy. And like we say, every breakup is different. Every situation is different. And this is a very interesting situation that there's a lot of things going on here that are going to be challenging to navigate. But I thought this was an interesting one, and I thought you would appreciate this one. So we're going to do an email coaching today from a guy in his early 30s, and he's with a woman in her mid 20s. Okay? So the woman used to work in a, let's just say, fairly tame field. But then she switched over to being a stripper and giving sensual massages. If you heard the other career she had, it was a huge leap. I'm not going to say to keep it more vague. But I guess when they were dating initially, she was doing that other career, or those other careers, and then she switched over to stripping and doing sensual massages.
It's important to talk about these alternative lines of work, let's say, because now in the world it's becoming a lot more common. Now with the internet, with certain websites that allow sex work to be much easier, and in certain parts of the world, sex work in its full form is completely legal.
Yeah,
so
sure.
On this channel, we want to approach all different sorts of lifestyles and career choices, and we know that you all are a complex group of people with many different interests, and we want to address them.
Half of you probably have an OnlyFans, right? We know who you are. We know who you are. Victoria subscribed to a few of them.
No. Okay, maybe no.
All right, so this is an interesting one. Let's get into it. We dated and lived down the street from one another. I mean, that's tough right there. Living right down the street from somebody also is a challenge in itself, because you could feel like you don't have any privacy or space. Right? So that's tough to navigate right there. He says, "Hey, Coach, I discovered you in February this year after a breakup. Thank you for your work. Carla and I met in 2019 at a house party. We hooked up that night, and later, in late summer, she asked me to be her boyfriend." Okay, so like 4 months later, after the party, they were boyfriend and girlfriend. "We've been through a lot, including an abortion and a hurricane. She's the only woman I've thought about children with. We were together 3 years, the longest and healthiest relationship either of us has been in. The reason for our breakup was centered around polyamory." Okay, you want to talk about polyamory?
Sure. So this could be an hour-long lecture, and there's still so much to learn about it. But basically, polyamory is being able to love more than one person. If you boil down the word itself, poly meaning many and amory meaning loves. So it's really an umbrella term. So there's many different ways to practice polyamory, and it can vary between partners. It's really up to you, the people that you interact with, what agreements that you come up with, and how you want to have your relationships go. So I know it's kind of an alternative way of having a relationship, but it also is becoming more common. And on this channel, we talk about relationships, we talk about love and life, and we don't want to miss out on something that's going on in the world. So we hope that you can keep an open mind while listening.
They can't. They're like, I'm not watching this. But yeah, I do think it is becoming a lot more common, and people are not necessarily doing traditional marriages the way they've done in the past. And I don't know. I mean, we have to kind of adapt to the way the culture goes. I mean, it may not be for you, and that's totally understandable. But a lot more people are living this kind of lifestyle. And I think it has a lot of its own unique challenges.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously it's hard enough to make it work with one person, let alone if people are in multiple relationships at the same time, and that's going to trigger a lot of anxiety and insecurities and stuff like that.
And also considering that she is a sex worker, I wonder what their agreement is.
Yeah.
And it does take a higher level of communication for those types of relationships to work. And you can actually learn a lot about monogamy by studying polyamory, interestingly enough. Because in order to be able to maintain multiple partnerships, you have to have that emotional maturity to a certain degree.
I agree. All right. So he goes on to say that she thinks I want monogamy, and I think she wants polyamory for the wrong reasons. The wrong reasons. What do you think about that?
I wonder if he's referring to her being sexually open and that being the wrong reason. I'm not sure if there's any right reason or wrong reason. It sounds like he's assuming that she might have some sort of malintent.
Yeah, it feels judgmental.
Right.
Right?
And I'm also wondering why she thinks that he wants monogamy. A lot of times before going into this lifestyle, people will dip their toe in or explore without fully committing to the label. So I don't know if he's in that realm, if he's had a polyamorous relationship before this, or if this is his first time in this type of experience.
Well, let's go on and we'll find out. In reality, polyamory is fine for me. I started going to therapy right before our breakup. I suffered depression for a few months, largely from her wanting to see other people. So there we have the impact of it on him. He's probably really struggling with it, and it sounds like, he's saying he's depressed about it.
Yeah. And I also wonder what meanings he's taking from her wanting to see other people. In the more monogamous context, people tend to think, oh, my partner wants to see other people, I must not be good enough.
Yes.
And this comes from a love scarcity idea, that one person can't possibly have enough love and care for more than one person. Versus people in the polyamorous realm tend to live by the philosophy that love is abundant. I can be attracted to and have multiple connections at the same time. Just different ways of thinking.
From there, and through your work, I discovered my anxious anxiety personality and my toxic dependency. I believe she's avoidant, based off the dynamic of our relationship, her actions, and her relationship with her parents. Her mom is kind of a jerk, and her dad, who is a good man, works so often, I don't think he was around to protect her from mom. I realize the reason I wasn't okay with her seeing other people is because she didn't give me the love and attention I was seeking first. So I think that's a valid point.
And I agree. As much as you can think that love is abundant, there are some practical things that aren't abundant, like time. You can't have more than 24 hours in a day to spend with somebody, and attention, being present with somebody. Those are things that do have physical limitations. So if he felt like his needs weren't getting met and that her time was split amongst other people, then I can see how that can be an issue.
Yeah. I went into no contact, did self-work to be the best version of myself I've ever been. She came back into my life in this summer, and we've been hooking up and dating. I'm starting to think she didn't come back to work in our relationship, but rather wants the love and validation I provide. And she stated that she doesn't want any partnership now or any time in the foreseeable future. Recently, I became frustrated, as an anxious personality would, and started an untimely conversation about if we were both not going to therapy and working on ourselves, then we're doomed to fall back into old patterns, and this is a waste of time. Well, in that, it feels like he's pushing for relationship again, which she's saying she's not interested. And my attraction is waning on someone who neglects their own mental health.
I think he's bringing up a really important point about old patterns. Sometimes people assume that a polyamorous relationship or a non-monogamous one, that in itself is the issue of any conflict. But sometimes even polyamorous relationship, non-monogamous ones, their issues are just like any other relationship. When we're talking about attachment styles, that conflict between having too much space or too much closeness still exists. So it sounds like he wants to actively work on on their connection.
Yeah. But the thing that I'm sensing is that he really wants that. He wants some kind of commitment when she's saying that's not what she wants.
Yeah, I sense that too.
I tried to present why she's avoidant. That always goes over well. I see comments sometimes. Should I tell my ex about your channel and that they're avoidant? No, I really wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I tried to present why she's avoidant based on her childhood trauma, her actions in the relationship, and my identifying as anxious. She reacted to, but ignored the trauma part. Said it's messed up to tell someone they need therapy, and listed examples of how she does care about her mental health by going to protests and helping people in need, which I believe is her externalizing. I'm not sure how going to protests is helping her mental health.
Maybe she's trying to say she's involved in advocacy and that makes her feel supported.
But a lot of avoidants would get upset about being called avoidant.
Well, yeah. I mean, nobody likes to feel analyzed. And this is why we warn you to not go up to your partner and, read their entire history to them. People feel like they are the experts of their own story. And really, you can't force somebody into change. They have to be willing and wanting to understand for themselves.
Yeah.
And especially right now, it seems like her heart is in a more hard place. It's probably much more difficult to get to her, and she's probably going to be very defensive if you bring that up.
Yeah, exactly. This is something that you can bring up in a relationship more so than when somebody's in a breakup with you.
Agreed.
In that moment, I folded. Thought it is what it is, and that's all it will ever be. In the meantime, I can practice my emotional discipline, keep dating others, and love her and keep learning from her. Her intelligence and her hobbies fascinate me. But she was still confused about why I said it's a waste of time and what I was needing from her. Interesting. So I'm wondering if she's thinking, are you saying that spending time with me is a waste of time if we're not in a committed relationship? That's what it feels like. Like she may be upset. Like, just because we're not committed doesn't mean the time we spend together is a waste of time.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
And I also wonder, what was it that he needed from her? I wonder if that was...
commitment.
But then even still, what does that mean? Is it a certain amount of time per week?
Yeah.
Is it her saying...
24/7.
Is it reassurance? I think clearly delineating what it is you need can really be helpful. Sometimes you don't know. But, it does take some self-work to find out how you're loved.
Yeah. He says, I am wondering if she understood me and wanted me to break things off with her and hold firm to my boundaries. If she isn't in therapy, then this won't work for me. Okay, so it sounds like he's kind of giving this ultimatum when she's not even saying I want to repair this or be in a committed relationship.
Right.
So he doesn't really have anything to base this off of. Like it's coming out of nowhere for her.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't want a commitment, and you're telling me that I have to get into therapy to be in a commitment with you.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna add up for her.
Right. And it's almost like he's saying, if you don't want a commitment with me, then there must be something wrong with you and you need to go fix it.
And it also feels like he believes she's testing him. Right? I'm getting a sense of, because if you see here, it says, hold firm to my boundaries. I get this sense that he thinks that this is a test on him, which we often see in some kind of dating coaches channels or whatnot, right?
Right. While it is possible, we don't want you to be paranoid and we don't want you jumping to conclusions, because then it can create a much more chaotic situation than is actually happening.
Yeah. I think she wanted to see if I have changed from the weak and needy guy I came off as before our breakup. If walking away would change her mind and we could have a healthy future together after all. Okay. Well, there's a lot to this situation. Obviously, this woman is in a sex industry. She's working as a stripper and she's working at a massage parlor. So She's also telling him she's not looking for a committed relationship. But it seems to me like he's really trying to push his own agenda here of a commitment and getting into therapy so we can be in a commitment again. So based on where this situation is at, I don't think she's looking for a healthy relationship with him.
It doesn't seem like it right now. I would also have him question his own motives for being open to polyamory. You know, is it to continue a relationship with her? Sometimes we find that people start bending their own values and what they want out of a relationship in order for a partner to stay.
Just to be with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I would just urge you to do some of that self-reflection for yourself and see really what's going on there.
I agree. Because I don't think he really wants polyamory. He says he's okay with it. But I'm not getting a sense of that reading any of this. Are you?
No, and for him to be depressed for months because she wanted to see other people, you know, we're all responsible for our own feelings, and I'm not sure what he did during that time to work through it and how he came out the other side. Sometimes when we don't talk about our feelings, we end up bottling them up, we build resentment, and I wonder if there's a bit of that coming out here.
I think the way that he could truly find out his motives is to think, would you want to continue this if you knew for a fact, without any doubt, that she never wanted to be exclusive? Would you still want to be with this woman if she only wanted a polyamorous relationship with you? And I think that would be telling to him, because if in his heart he really knew, I don't want that, I want to be exclusive, then I think he needs to walk away, that he thinks this is a test of his masculinity because he displayed weak and needy behavior, as he puts it.
Yeah. And it's also really important for you to question some of your assumptions about her wants, her needs, and her behaviors too. Just him saying that she's interested in polyamory for the wrong reasons, what are you assuming there? And also, are you assuming that she's trying to be with other people to get at you or to test you, like you said? I think it's also really important to question your own assumptions about what's going on here. You had mentioned that she's interested in polyamory for the wrong reasons. I would ask yourself, what are those reasons? What do you think is going on in her mind? Sometimes we can assume things about our partners that aren't true. I would also urge you to read up on literature on polyamory. There's tons out there now. There's even a book about attachment theory and polyamory called Polysecure, if any of you are interested. But it sounds like that might be helpful in this scenario, just to better understand all the different factors that are going on here.
Yeah, I mean, the way he puts it, it doesn't matter what her reasons are for wanting that lifestyle. It's what she wants to do. And, you putting your judgment about why the right reasons are, what the wrong reasons are for her or you or whatever it is, it ultimately doesn't matter. This is what she's doing right now. She's in a sex industry. Are you really going to be comfortable with her stripping and, working in a massage parlor? Yeah,
it's questions that you have to ask yourself. As far as can this be a healthy relationship? Yes. We're in this field because we believe that healthy relationships do exist and they can be worked out. Can sex workers have healthy relationships? Yes. Can polyamorous people have healthy relationships? Also yes. It just depends on what you want, what you can tolerate, what you're willing to work with, and deepening your understanding of each other.
Yeah. And both of you have to want it. And from what I'm seeing here, she's not interested in that.
Right.
So I don't think that you're going to have that healthy relationship simply because it's not her focus right now. And until she decides that is something she wants, and maybe she does need therapy, and maybe she does have a trauma history, I think you've got to stop pushing your own agenda here and just allow her to do what she wants, because you're giving her this ultimatum, but she's not even saying, yes, I want to work it out with you, at least from what I'm hearing. You're putting an ultimatum on something that she's saying, yeah, but I don't even want that.
Right. And thinking about her experience, it's difficult to be open and honest about some of these truths in her life, like to admit to you that she is in the sex industry with all the stigma that exists around that, to admit to you that she wants to see other people. if she truly cared for you, I'm sure it was hard for her to see you depressed for months about her desires for a relationship. And so I think as you continue to work on your own issues, learn more about polyamory, and see if this is really a lifestyle for you, she is also going to be able to sense that and sense your preparedness for something like that, if that is something that you're interested in.
All right, so we covered a lot of ground on this one.
Yeah,
obviously there's
a lot of words.
a lot going on in this situation. Every situation is so different, and that's why we say that. And some of you may be judgmental about how they live their lives, but you know, people might be judgmental about how you live yours. So just keep an open mind and allow people to be who they want to be, and as long as they're not hurting other people, you know, you have to find acceptance in, you know, other people's lifestyles. You know. Okay, so if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. And of course, you can get coaching with Victoria now.
I'm here and available for you if you need.
Just click on her name at the top of the website to do that. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.